Burn it up! I don't know why I just said that, but we're burning the midnight oil here, giving you some more hot and heavy OTRSCentral Q A action. I don't care how that sounded.
If you would like your questions answered in these Q&As, go to Twitter, set up an account, and then send your question to us at Off the Rope Show.
There you go. Just that simple. And it'll get answered, hopefully, in a future Q&A, unless it's a question that's really, really bad, which we don't get very many of those.
No.
Or if it's a question that we've answered numerous times, which sometimes we do get some of those. We try as much as we possibly can to answer every question that we get, because if you take the time to send them to us to ask them, we should take the time to try and answer them. All right.
And remember, we record these in chunks, so it might not be in the next Q&A.
Yes. At IB Spiffy, let's get started. With Brodus Clay, they teased a monster and gave us a dancer. Does that mean that Fandango will be a monster?
Will Fandango ever premiere? Find out.
Yeah, that's the first question. Is he even going to premiere?
He's worked a few live events, but not very many.
And he hasn't premiered on TV, the character, though.
Yeah.
Is that what the mystery of this character is going to be? Is he's just always going to have Fandango vignettes and then that's it?
Yeah. Mind if I cut in?
He's going to be like the ultimate dick tease. This could be a very awesome character. Since Brodus Clay ended up being a dancer, Fandango will probably will be an absolute beast monster.
Maybe he'll join the Maddox.
You think he's qualified to?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in the ring.
You saw him as Johnny Curtis get his ass kicked.
I forgot that.
I think most everybody else did too. At Punk Taker Fan 81, should the three biggest traditional wrestling cities, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, host a Big Four pay-per-view at least once a year? At least one of them, probably. Not just because they're big wrestling cities, but because of the size of their media markets.
I don't think you need to hit all four of them in 1 year with a pay-per-view.
All three of them, sure.
Whatever.
No, but one of the three probably
Yes.
wouldn't be a bad idea to either get at least a pay-per-view, if not a Big Four. To me, I'm still an advocate of, and I talked about in the 12 Steps to Recovery series, that I'd be a big advocate of each of the Big Four pay-per-views under a reduced pay-per-view schedule being in a bigger stadium. So, you know, having 50, 60, 70,000 people at each of the Big Four pay-per-views I think would be great. But yes, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think that makes sense from a media market size standpoint. At Candy Lick 21, what if Rock and Austin were never in WWE and only Triple H was the face of the Attitude Era? How do you think it would work out?
Go.
No, you answer the question first.
It wouldn't have worked out. There wouldn't have been the Attitude Era, essentially. It would have been the lame, meandering WWE that it was right before the Attitude Era struck. Because I'm sorry, Triple H. I like Triple H. He never was able to carry the company. Let's just put it that way.
I will put it this way. When it comes to the WWE, they would do everything they could to make you think that Triple H was as big as Rock and Austin, and a lot of times they do that. That's how I'll answer that question. This might be one of my favorite Twitter handles of all time. At The American Dream. If The Rock was an up-and-coming wrestler today, would he get over with the fans if he used his Rocky Maivia gimmick? Hell no.
No.
It didn't get over in 96, 97. It isn't going to get over in 2013. He would have been too clean. He would have been John Cena. People can't relate.
So it might have gotten over.
When you're supposed to be the good guy and you go and at least
Watch
half...
what you say about Cena.
At least half, if not more than half of the crowd boos him, you're not over. I know you love him.
They're just booing him because they're jealous of him.
Are they saying you?
Yeah. They're saying you!
So they're ripping off Hogan. Just like Cena's tried to for many years and done a very poor job of it. At Desiization, what should AJ Styles do when he comes back? He should look at what they have in mind for him from a creative standpoint. And if at any point in time it intersects with Christopher Daniels in any point, in any way, shape, or form, he should drop his trousers and take a piss on Dixie Carter's feet. Why?
I've seen that match.
AJ Styles urine versus Dixie Carter's feet?
No, AJ versus Christopher Daniels.
Yes. That's what he should do. Run as far away from that as he possibly can. Maybe turn him heel. I don't know. I don't think AJ really works as a heel, but, you know. Anything other than what they were doing with him. At Heel Haboob. Hey, guys, do you think Goldberg will ever be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? Yeah. I don't think there's any great rush to do that.
No.
Maybe if they had WrestleMania in Atlanta again in a few years, that would probably be the time they would do it, I would think. I was kind of surprised it didn't happen for WrestleMania 27, but I think you'd be more likely to get Goldberg come back to work one more big match, maybe at a Mania, before he'd actually go into the Hall of Fame. At Sea Queen 106, do you think that TNA should bring back the six-sided ring?
I think it was an interesting concept, but I don't necessarily think that it hurts them not to have it.
It has been 3 years since it's been there, so it maybe would almost cause more confusion and damage now that it's been gone for so long. I think you could bring it back for a one-off or a couple-off thing, like an X Division pay-per-view, but
it works better for that division because there's more corners for them to work out of. But for a standard wrestling match, you don't really need the 6 corners.
Yeah, I mean, some people say, well, down in Mexico they use it. Well, that's great.
That's Mexico.
Yeah. So, I don't think they need to bring it back anymore. I don't necessarily think it never should have went away, but now that it's been away for 3 years, I don't think they need to bring it back. At Samurai 0X, do you think Vince McMahon gives a fuck about what the fans really want?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I did a video on my channel talking about the fact that WWE is giving people what they want, which is the people that they want, the wrestlers that they want, that they're cheering for. They're putting them in the high spots. Now, we're not getting storylines and stuff, but we're getting... CM Punk had a title reign of 434 days. Daniel Bryan spotlighted. Cesaro.
Ziggler.
The Shield. I mean, never mind the fact that the Shield storyline shit, but the guys that are in the Shield, people are like, oh, we'll look past that.
It depends on what type of fans you're talking about. If you're talking about, do they care about what the internet fans want? I think they do a little bit, even though they know flat out that if they listen to the standard internet bullshit of, well, we want guys that do flips and have a great work rates, then they know they won't draw nearly what they can. I think it's important to listen to that audience for part of your presentation, but not your entire presentation. He gives a fuck in the sense that it ultimately doesn't provide what pleases the fans. At some point in time, it is going to affect the bottom line. Do I think he gives as much of a fuck as he did 12 or 13 years ago? No, I do not, frankly.
No, he's got his money. He doesn't care as much.
Could be worth a lot more money, too. At Gorham Nerd, if Hulk Hogan started in this day and age, do you think the WWE writing team could book his character properly?
No.
Hell no. Hell no.
No, there's talented guys on the roster now that they can't even book.
Not even close. Not even, as I would say. At GoCussJ413, do you think Batista and Goldberg are ever going to return again? And will Steve Austin versus CM Punk ever happen? Let's take the first one.
I don't think Goldberg's ever going to return, but I do think Batista will return at some point, even if it's just a one-off.
I think both of them will return for a one-off at least. Maybe Batista will come back for some type of short 3 or 6 month run. What about Steve Austin versus CM Punk?
I'm still hopeful it happens next year at Mania.
I still think that happens at WrestleMania 30. I still think that...
I think that that's why Austin's getting all these surgeries done, getting them out of the way, getting himself built back up, and getting ready.
Because I think Austin isn't happy with the way his career ultimately ended. I think he wants to go out on his terms, have one more big spotlight moment, and maybe be able to point to the fact that he actually helped somebody out in the case of CM Punk and helped elevate him. You know, of course, then again, we could just have Austin beat CM Punk in the main event at WrestleMania 30, which is entirely possible, and then it'd be really like, well, what the fuck's the point? Because at least you could say with The Rock beating Cena at WrestleMania 28, at least Rock's come back for other matches, and etc. So, at Javi El Artabo, Which pile driver do you prefer? Petey Williams, Canadian Destroyer, or, and I'm going to correct you here, it is Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff's pile driver. Mr. Wonderful is called Mr. Wonderful because he is wonderful. The man we know as Paul Orndorff. I prefer his pile driver, even though I said before that Petey Williams' Canadian Destroyer may be my favorite finisher to watch ever. You know, I was trying to leave out things like the big boot in the leg drop and Orndorff's pile driver, you know, Mr. Wonderful's pile driver, and Mr. Bob Backlund's crossface chicken wing, because nothing can compare to those, you know. So
Right.
I was trying to go outside of the realm, but Mr. Wonderful's pile driver, of course. At Anything Goes show WWE. When you watch those two, do they remind you more of like you and I, or Dan and NJ, or
Kind of like the Tree of Woe show a little bit.
only like younger and
Younger and a little bit of British Fist mixed in.
I could see
At least
that.
they aren't like what's up every video.
This is true. What would you pay more money to see? Deuces and Fours versus Fool Killer, Schleg Daddy versus a Debt Collector,
I've seen that fight.
or Psycho Sid versus Scott Steiner 2?
I'm down for Scott Steiner. Steiner versus Psycho Sid. I'm down for that one. I mean, seeing you fight the Debt Collector is fun to watch. But it's like the WWE. I've seen that match so many times. I'm ready for a new one.
And it's like, you know, you got Deuces and Fours versus Fool Killer. It's like you've got The Rock and Stone Cold versus, like, Bart Gunn in Fool Killer. You know, nobody, he's not drawing any ratings. He's not drawing any money. Nobody's paying to watch him. They're paying to watch the cats, especially Smokey. So it's a one-sided affair.
Mm-hmm.
You got Psycho Sid versus freaking Scott Steiner. The only disappointment would be if no legs were broken. Who would be the special guest referee? Johnny Hayes, John Laurinaitis. Who would do the run-in in the middle of the match to run some interference? Sin Cara. Why? Because I would hope that he would bust his other patella tendon running in place.
You're gonna have Triple H in there too.
No, I'll have Kevin Nash come out of the crowd so he could tear a quad. And then Vince will say, I'm Vince McMahon. If you're going to do it, you do it right. And then he's going to tear both fucking quads. It would be the greatest train wreck of wrestling in history. I say Psycho Sid versus Scott Steiner, a 15-minute promo segment. Show God how it's really done. 15 minutes each, of course. Train wrecks galore. A great 0.2-star classic match, main eventing WrestleMania 31. That's what the entire show should be built around. Is Psycho Sid
It's got to be
versus
like
Scott Steiner.
it's got to be a ladder match too.
Yes, I would think so. I prefer maybe a scaffold match. He went up on the second row. Because Johnny Ace told me to explain.
You know that if you do this now, that they're gonna send more questions about Psycho Sid, so you do it later.
You and open, he's like, ah! I love that son of a bitch. I can't wait till the day Psycho Sid goes into the Hall of Fame.
Why don't you suggest him for here? Then you can meet him.
Oh, I could.
You need to start filling the ballot box to the Dan Gable Museum so that
I introduce him to my friend George Washington. And George Washington and maybe a couple Abraham Lincolns can make it happen. I kid you not. If I got the chance to meet Psycho Sid, I may or may not piss my pants.
I will be filming if this ever happens.
You know what? And if I met him and I did piss my pants and he started laughing about it, that's okay. You put it on the channel.
You've laughed enough at him, so he can laugh at you.
Yes, I think that's only fair. What an honor that would be. What a privilege. You want to talk about piece of crap jabronis like this guy here, John Cena. Your boy Cena is nothing compared to Psycho
Where's
Sid.
Cesaro's action figure?
It's coming.
No, it isn't.
You know who has more action figures?
John Cena.
Psycho Sid, 'cause he rules the world, baby.